Namaste, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's guest talk. The title today is Guru or No Guru. Our guest speaker is Mr. Narendra Murty, who professionally worked as a divisional manager in the life insurance industry. However, the deep driving passion of his life has been the study of various religions and philosophies, both Eastern and Western, to which he has devoted more than 3 decades of his life. He has authored several books, including Eating His Money, The Antics of a Metaphysical Clown, An Odyssey of the Mind, The Religion of Wonder, and An Oak Tree in the Garden, Exploring the World of Zen. Currently, he serves as a research associate at Sri Aurobindo Society in Pondicherry and writes monthly for their online journal, Renaissance. Narendra sir, welcome to the Yes platform. We are so glad to have you with us on our platform. We look forward to your session, sir. Over to you.
Namaste. Good evening to everyone. And first of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Yes Talks and to Arunima ji in particular for giving me this opportunity. The subject of this talk is Guru or no Guru, whether we require a Guru or whether we can do without a Guru. That is the question. Do we really require teacher or a Guru? This question troubles many seekers, and especially those who are seeking spiritual knowledge and those who have not been lucky enough to find a Guru. So they make some efforts on their own. They try to read some scriptures, and scriptures being what they are not always easy to understand. You require some preparation to understand spiritual literature. They make some efforts, sincere efforts, but after a while, when their efforts are not, getting the proper results, and they some of them give up, some of them persist. It goes like that. And this situation is complicated further because we have been told that without a guru, there cannot be no spiritual progress. You must find a guru. So that psychological conditioning, that cultural conditioning is already there in our society. So we on our own, what we do is we try to find a guru, by hook or by crook, someone to guide us and all that. And what happens is we often, many of us, fall into the I think someone's speaker is on. Yeah. So what happens is we often fall into the trap of false gurus. And there are many such false gurus around in the society. They take advantage of the innocence and simple faith and confusion of seekers, and they defraud them in many ways. You know that these stories come out on a regular basis, false gurus. So that danger is also there for the spiritual seeker who is trying to find his way and has not been able to find a guru. So these pitfalls are there for him. So what is the truth about having a guru or not having? What is the truth? You see, if you study if you take a look at our tradition, the great luminaries of the past, there are many such luminaries. Say, for example, Vivekananda, Kabir, Shankaracharya, Paramahamsa Yogananda, they all had gurus. Vivekananda had his Ramakrishna, Shankara had Govindapada, Yogananda had Lahiri Mahasaya, and before that, Yukteswar Giri and Lahiri Mahasaya, like that. All these people, they had illustrious gurus. And the spiritual history of this land has always upheld the tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara in a very big way. This is a hallowed tradition of our land, the Guru Shishya Parampara, where the intuitive spiritual knowledge was handed down from Guru to the disciple in an unbroken lineage. That is what it was in our land. So this Guru Shishya Parampara was very strong, and there is strong emphasis on this, that Guru is required. But again, at the other end of the spectrum, you would find some great masters. They did not have gurus in the sense that we understand. For instance, let us take the greatest teachers who are acknowledged in history: Jesus, Buddha, uh, and Raman Maharshi, Sri Aurobindo. Buddha did not have a teacher. Jesus also did not have a teacher. Yes, there are some mention in the Gospels about John the Baptist, but John the Baptist was not a teacher in that sense. He simply proclaimed that Jesus is the avatar. That is what John the Baptist did. So, not a guru in the true sense. He recognized the avatar and he proclaimed. Raman Maharshi did not have a guru. Even Sri Aurobindo, I don't think he had a guru in the sense we understand. Yes, he did take some, some meditation guidance from Vishnu Bhaskar Lele, the yogi. But beyond what Lele taught Sri Aurobindo went far, far ahead in his sadhana, for which there was no, I don't think there was any physical guru for that. It was his own sadhana that took him to the heights. And Lele was there at the very beginning of his, you can say, of his vast spiritual life. If we take Pondicherry as the starting point, 1910, then in the last 40 years of his life, Lele features nowhere. That was before Sri Aurobindo went to Pondicherry. And that too, some meditation guidance in meditation. So I don't think Lele was a guru in that sense of the word. So these great teachers, from Buddha to Raman Maharshi to Sri Aurobindo to Jesus, they did not have gurus. Even Ramakrishna, if you read his life, he invited several gurus. Like he invited Bhairavi for his tantra, for guidance in tantra, and Totapuri, the sage Totapuri, he kind of helped Ramakrishna to have a Advaitic realization, because Ramakrishna was totally a devotee of the mother goddess Kali, and he was in that divine consciousness even before Totapuri had arrived. Totapuri just gave him a certain, showed him the direction towards a certain line of sadhana. And similar, the same thing with Bhairavi. Then Ramakrishna experimented with Christian mysticism, with Islamic mysticism, all the paths, but that was an experiment he was carrying out to verify his own spiritual realization, that whether all the paths lead to the divine, that he found on his own through his mother Kali. So he was basically verifying. So in that sense, even Ramakrishna did not have any guru. So this is what we are faced with. At one side we have great luminaries who had gurus, and at the other end we have great luminaries who did not have gurus. And these people attained without a guru. So guru or no guru? That is the question we are facing. Now let us, to probe this question, we have to ask, what is the function of a guru? What does a guru really do? Does he really give us spiritual knowledge? Does a guru really do that? Is it really something like learning mathematics from a maths teacher? Is it something like that? Is it about increasing our store of intellectual knowledge? I don't think so. So all the spiritual traditions of the world are unanimous in proclaiming that spiritual knowledge is something innate in us. It is essential to our nature. It is our nature itself. when Narendra, Swami Vivekananda, before he became Swami Vivekananda, he was Narendranath Dutt. He was a person who was passionate in his seeking of God. He was looking for God. That I want an experience of the divine. And whenever he saw some luminary personality talking and discussing religion and spirituality, Swami Vivekananda would bluntly approach him and say things like, "Cut out the nonsense. Have you seen God? Have you experienced God?" That was the way he used to confront the great people of his time who spoke on religion and philosophy and all that. Naturally, nobody could answer such a question. Coming from a brash young man like that, with so much of courage and honesty in his seeking. He even went to Devendranath Tagore. Uh, but Devendranath Tagore was, though he was a realized person in his own way, he could not answer that question. He only said, "Your eyes shine like a yogi." Anyway, so finally, he could not get a person who would answer that question directly to him, what he was seeking. He got that answer from Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna said, "Yes, not only have I experienced God, I can show you God. And I have known God more intimately than I am seeing you right now before my eyes. I have experienced God more intimately." What did Ramakrishna mean by that? He meant when we are perceiving an object of this world or a person of this world, there is still duality. For Ramakrishna, that duality did not exist. He was established in that divine consciousness. There was unity. There was no duality. That is why he said, "I have known God more intimately than the way I'm seeing you right now before my eyes, and I can show you." And as they say, the rest is history. The brash seeker Narendra became Vivekananda, the world teacher. So that is what happens with the alchemical touch of the Guru. The Guru brings about an alchemy in our being. But that alchemy is possible only when the metal is ready to be transmuted. It depends on the metal. So what we seek from the Guru is actually hidden in us. Ramakrishna had other disciples also, and they too were illustrious disciples. Keshav Chandra Sen, Girish Ghosh, the great dramatist, the, the person who wrote the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Mahendranath Gupta. So all these people were there, but nobody to match Narendra, Vivekananda, because the the material of that disciple was made of a different stuff. So basically, it's our innate divine nature that comes out in spiritual seeking. Zen calls it the Buddha mind. I wrote a book on Zen, which is my commentaries on 30 Zen stories. And there, this concept is repeatedly, it comes, Buddha mind, realizing one's Buddha mind. There also, the Zen masters are telling all the time, you have to realize your Buddha mind. They are not saying, I'm going to give you. That is the emphasis. So the first thing we have to understand is knowledge is innate. Spiritual knowledge or divinity is innate. And that is why Swamiji said each soul is potentially divine. It is a potential that we have to realize. It is potentially, we have to make it divine. It has the potential and we have to make it divine. So let's go see a couple of slides for emphasis. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is my presentation for the day, Guru or no Guru. And the first quote that I would like to use is Sri Aurobindo's quote. Nothing can be taught to the mind which is not already concealed as potential knowledge in the unfolding soul of the creature. So it's a potential knowledge that we have. And that cannot be taught from outside. That potential knowledge has to become an actuality. That is what Sri Aurobindo says. And in another very illuminating quote, he says, all teaching is a revealing, all becoming is an unfolding. Self-attainment is the secret. Self-attainment, self-knowledge, and an increasing consciousness are the means and the process. This is from Synthesis of Yoga. So this is the emphasis that Sri Aurobindo gives to this unfoldment of knowledge that lies as a potential inside us. See the words he uses: self-attainment, self-knowledge. He's not saying the guru is going to give you. Okay, so let's stop here and go forward. Swamiji gave the example of Newton discovering gravity. Swamiji said, did Newton invent gravity? Gravity was always there. It was always there. The world functions, the physical universe functions through the laws of gravity. It was always there. But the knowledge of gravity was revealed to Newton. So it was a knowledge that was hidden within his own being, which was revealed to him. It was a revelation. It came as we know that incident about falling apples and all. Many people again said that actually did not happen. It's an apocryphal anecdote and all that. Whatever the details, that is not important. Point is this, that the knowledge was revealed to him in his own consciousness. Same goes with Archimedes, Eureka, the discovery of the laws of flotation and all that. So it's a discovery. Knowledge is a discovery that is there and that comes out. You see, those of you who are in the teaching profession, you would appreciate that different students have different capacities for learning. Our capacity for learning is different. It varies. Why? Because those who are very fast in learning, those who grasp things very, very, very fast, their unfoldment is more than the others. For the others, it is concealed more compared to the one who learns very fast. That is why we have different levels of comprehension. So that itself is a proof that we have different capacities for learning. Itself is a proof that it is something that we have inside, and the more developed it is already, the faster we learn. So knowledge is innate in us, and that is our essential nature. And to repeat Swamiji's words, each soul is potentially divine. But to make this potential a reality, that is where the guru comes in. The guru doesn't give us enlightenment. Let us be very clear about this. The guru doesn't give us enlightenment. Had that been the case, then all the disciples of Jesus, all the disciples of Buddha, all the disciples of Sri Aurobindo, they would all have become enlightened. But it didn't happen that way. But that privilege was reserved for only a select few, only who could make that potential real. Only for those it happened. Ramakrishna, like I said, he had so many other disciples also. But it became a reality for Narendra, who became Swami Vivekananda. So what the guru does is, he makes us realize our potential. That is the function of a guru. He makes our potential a reality. And the word guru in Sanskrit, as all of you know, which means the one who dispels the darkness. That is the function of a guru. And that is why in the Guru Stotram we have that verse, Ajnana Timirandhasya, Jnananjana Shalakaya. The one who is blinded by the darkness of ignorance. To the one who opens the light, opens the eyes to light. Salutations unto that Guru. Tasmai Shri Gurave. That is the function of a guru. And this darkness of ignorance is like a deathly sleep. It's as if we are fast asleep, as good as dead. That is why you see this attainment of spiritual knowledge or enlightenment is called awakening. In every tradition, it is called awakening. And even in the Christian tradition, those of you know, there is a story where Lazarus is actually, people think Lazarus is dead and he's lying in his tomb. And Jesus says, he's not dead. I will bring him to life. And Jesus calls Lazarus, Lazarus, you come, I'm calling. And Lazarus is raised from the dead. A dead man rises and he comes to Jesus. This is the symbolic meaning of what a guru does. He breaks the uh, the deathly sleep of ignorance. He raises us, he awakens us from the darkness of ignorance. That is the story. That is the meaning of the story of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. It's there in the New Testament. And this raising of Lazarus is the awakening to life and wisdom and enlightenment brought about by the grace of the Master. And hence, Jesus proclaims, I am the resurrection and the life. Because unless that is done to us by the Guru, resurrection is rebirth. And in our tradition, it is called being a Dvija, twice born. One birth is the physical birth, but our true birth happens when the second birth takes place of our consciousness, Dvija. What is Dvija? What we call Dvija in our tradition, Jesus is calling in that tradition and the resurrection in the life. That is what it means in the Christian tradition. Now, what is to be done from our side to earn this kind of a blessing from our? That is one important question that should come up at this stage. What is demanded of us is unconditional Shraddha, faith, translated as faith, but you know, faith is not the adequate translation of the word Shraddha. Without that Shraddha, no knowledge is possible, whether with a guru or without a guru. Without that element of Shraddha in us, no knowledge is possible. Because we are not aware of the spiritual dimension. We have no first-hand knowledge of that domain. So we have to trust. We need to have Shraddha on the words of the guru. And that doesn't mean a physical guru. Even the written word of the guru is a teaching for us. They are the words of the guru, the written word. I became a disciple of Sri Aurobindo by reading his works. I did not meet Sri Aurobindo. I was born much after he passed away. So that is the thing, that Shraddha, it gives, it opens you to the grace of the Guru. And in the Gita, it is said, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. That is what the Gita says. So we have to proceed by taking on utmost good faith what the Guru teaches. That is what is required of us. And faith, this Shraddha, is not only required in the spiritual domain, in the spiritual field, even in science it is required. I'll show you a quote of Max Planck. But before that, you see how this Shraddha works. Let me just give you two examples, parables from the parables of Sri Ramakrishna, who was such a master storyteller. One was the story of a person who goes to catch fish in a lake. And he spends the whole day sitting with his fishing rod, catching nothing. The whole day is wasted. The second day he goes, he gets nothing. The whole day is wasted. And this goes on for 2-3 days, but he persists with his effort. And on the 4th or 5th day, he is rewarded with a rich catch of fish. Now, why did he persist with that, failing but going every day and waiting? Because he heard from other anglers that this lake has plentiful of fish. He has heard that and he has faith in the words of the other fishermen. And that faith made him persist with his efforts. This is the parable told by Sri Ramakrishna. It should be like that. I don't have knowledge. I am not seeing any fish in front of me, and I'm not catching any fish, even after sitting the whole day. But that Shraddha, no, there is fish here. Others have got fish in this lake. That Shraddha makes me go on and on. That is the parable told by Sri Ramakrishna, and you know the story of Ramayana, the building of the Ram Setu. You know that story. I need not repeat. Whether stones started floating when the Vanasena started writing the name of Rama and they threw it into the water and the stones were floating. That was the Shraddha of the Vanasena that made the stones float, which in other words says Shraddha can achieve impossible things. And there's the side story that when Rama himself wrote Ram on a stone and he threw it in the water, it sank. Then he was told that the kind of Shraddha they have in your name, because you don't have that, that is why your stone sank. So that is the element of Shraddha. Now let's again see a couple of quotes about Shraddha. This already we have seen. Now, this also is a very important quote which Sri Aurobindo says about spiritual realization. Nobody can give you any spiritual realization which does not come from something in one's own true self. It is always the divine who reveals himself, and the divine is within you. This is Sri Aurobindo, Letters on Yoga, Volume 1. It is always the divine who reveals himself. Again, that each soul is potentially divine. So it's an inner unfoldment. And Guru is the facilitator, you can say, who brings about this alchemical process. And this is the quote from a scientist. See what physicist Max Planck says. Science also demands the believing spirit. Anyone who has been seriously engaged in scientific work realizes that over the entrance to the gates of the temple of science are written the words, "You must have faith." It is a quality which the scientist cannot dispense with. This is coming from a physicist. Naturally, the kind of work a scientist does or a physicist does, that requires years of perseverance and the faith that my research, my experiments are going to yield some result. This cannot happen without that element of Shraddha. That cannot happen. So not only in spiritual endeavor, but even in scientific endeavor, we require this quality of Shraddha in us. Without that, it is not possible. Now, let us take the example of Ekalavya and Dronacharya. Now, Ekalavya, you know, he could not have Dronacharya as his guru, but he made a statue of Dronacharya and he started practicing on his own. And he became such an accomplished archer that probably he was better than Arjun. And that is what made Dronacharya, take away his thumb and all that. I won't go into all that. But the point is, Ekalavya attained that level of skill because of his Shraddha in the Guru. But the knowledge itself, the skill and the knowledge itself was an inner unfoldment. But that unfoldment happened because he had that inspiration of the Guru in front of him. That inspiration, that Shraddha towards the Guru made it happen. Exactly what the words Sri Aurobindo says. It does not come from something in... nobody can give you any spiritual realization which does not come from something in one's own true self. This applies to Ekalavya, to the world. This is how Ekalavya attained his knowledge. Utmost diligence and hard work. And he was not even taught directly by the Guru. But it happened because of his Shraddha. The physical absence of the Guru did not matter. So Ekalavya was a true disciple in every sense of the word. And this is the crux of my argument, that the question of whether guru or no guru depends on this point, whether we are a disciple. That comes first, like Ekalavya. Ekalavya was a disciple. He did not have a physical guru to instruct him. He was just an image and an inspiration. Knowledge came to Ekalavya because he was a disciple. So the answer is actually whether we, whether am I a disciple? That is the main question. So guidance is always available to the disciple. So let's see what Sri Aurobindo says about the need felt for a guru. Why Ekalavya felt the need, though it was all inner knowledge, it came from inside him. It was an inner unfoldment, but he felt the need for a guru. See what Sri Aurobindo says about that. It is difficult for a man to believe in something unseen within himself. It is easy for him to believe in something which he can image as extraneous to himself. The spiritual progress of most human beings demands an extraneous support, an object of faith outside us. This is what is true for most of us. We need that support. It needs an external image of God, or it needs a human representative, incarnation, prophet, or guru. This is a synthesis of yoga. And this is what the function of a guru is. Because we need something to project our Shraddha onto. That is why the need for a guru is felt. So this is what Ekalavya and Dronacharya. For one who is really sincere in his pursuit of knowledge, knowledge cannot be held back from. It has to come to him. Like Swami Vivekananda. He was kind of an atheist, an agnostic before he met Sri Ramakrishna. But his seeking was so sincere that ultimately that knowledge had to come to him. So this is an unwavering and eternal promise of the divine, that if we seek, the knowledge has to come to us. Only our thirst, our longing should be true and sincere. That is the criterion. And when that happens, there's no dearth of avenues from which the knowledge that is required would come to us. So again, let me tell you a small story, which and all of you, I am sure you know. In the Chandogya Upanishad, Satyakama, he goes to the forest with 400 cattle, cows and buffaloes and all that. And he says, I'll return after they become 1,000. They multiply and become 1,000. He goes to the forest with his cattle. And after many years, the cattle become 1,000 in number. And during those years, Satyakama is a silent and receptive disciple. He is seeing the processes of life. The cattle, they are dying, new calves are being born. He's seeing all that processes, and he's gaining knowledge silently, receptively. And one day, when they reach the number 1,000, a bull comes to him and tells him that Satyakam, we have become 1,000. Take us back to your guru's home, Rishi Gautam. But before that, I will tell you about Brahman. Brahman has 4 aspects, and each of those 4 aspects has four folds of each aspect. And the bull gives him the knowledge of the manifested world. East is Brahman, West is Brahman, North is Brahman, something like that. So the bull gives him knowledge about the manifested world. And then the bull says, the next lesson would come from the fire. And then the next day, Satyakam again, he proceeds towards the house of his guru, and in the evening he lights a fire, and the fire speaks to him. And the fire talks to him about the infinite aspect of Brahman. That was the manifested world. And then this fire talks about the infinite aspects, 4 aspects. Then again, the fire tells him the next day, the next lesson would be given to you by a swan. And again in the evening, Satyakam is waiting. The swan comes. The swan comes and gives him the knowledge of the luminous aspect of the divine. That is the energy, the Shakti that is there in the universe. And on the fourth day, an aquatic bird comes and tells Satyavan about the vital world. And by these four teachers of Satyakam, basically they instruct him everything about what is there to learn about Brahma. And when he comes home to the house of his guru says, Satyakam, your face is shining like the one who has already known Brahman. Who has taught you? And Satyakam says, I have been taught by creatures other than human beings. Still, since you are my guru, I would like to hear from you. And what Rishi Gautam teaches him, it is exactly the same what the animals have taught. So what is the lesson in this story? That even if we do not have a human guru, if we are receptive, if we are humble, if we are trusting and having Shraddha, a receptive heart, a passive ear, a silent and trusting mind, then knowledge can come from the outside world also, like it came to Satyakam. So passive and so receptive. So and his guru had to admit that your face is already shining like a person who has known the Brahman. That was the certificate given to him by his guru. So that is what it is by being a true disciple. So the main point is before we go on a guru hunting spree, we should ask ourselves first, are we the true disciple? Have we become like Satyakam, like Vivekananda, that burning passion for truth? Am I ready as a disciple? Passive heart, a listening mind, a silent mind, a heart full of Shraddha. Do I have these qualities? If I have, Guru has to appear. That is the promise of the divine. Guru has to come. And if in our ignorance, without this base, if in our ignorance we go hunting, Guru hunting, there's every possibility that we would land up in the hands of false gurus. There's every possibility of that. That danger is there. That is why you see, when the disciple is ready, the master, or in other words, guidance arrives. It may not be in a form that we think it would come. Satyakam, when he went to the forest, he did not know that he would be taught about the aspects of Brahman by the animals that he's taking to the forest. So it would come in ways unexpected to us when we are a disciple, when our hearts are full of Shraddha. So that is the promise of the divine. And Jesus, he says in the New Testament, in the Bible, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. That is again the promise of the divine. You have to ask, you have to seek. It would be given to you. The door would be open to you. Ask and you shall receive. That is the promise of the divine. So I think this is enough for the time being. I think I have presented my case. So let's take some questions if you have any. Thank you very much. Pranam. Thank you.
Thank you, Narendra sir. Thanks a lot for this insightful, enlightening session. We are really grateful that you shared your knowledge and wisdom with all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And as you said, let's check with the participants. If anyone has a question or they want to share something, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and speak up, or you can drop your messages in the chat box. I'll read it out.
Arunima, may I set the ball rolling by asking Narendra ji? Of course, I mean, he has covered a vast territory and it was a very comprehensive and admirable talk. Would you like to elaborate a bit on Sri Aurobindo, what he has said in the Synthesis of Yoga, that the Guru has three functions: word, example, and influence?
One is, yes, word is the teaching, one is the example, and one is the influence. Teaching is again, whatever I have understood. One is the teaching, the Shastra. In that chapter of 4 aids, Sri Aurobindo talks about Shastra, Utsaha, Guru, and Kala. These are the four aspects he talks about. Now, Shastra, again, it may not be the written word. We are always obsessed with the idea that Shastra has to be something written, something we have to learn. Uh, that way, you see, Ramakrishna did not read Shastras in that sense. He was quite unlettered. So, again, that we come back to that same position that it is an inner unfoldment, that Shastra is within. So, that is one part of it, the teaching. The second is example. Yes, the example is a very powerful, I would say, an aspect of the guru. When we are in the guru-shishya relationship, the power of example is important. Again, here I would just cite a Zen story which appears in my book because it fits very nicely. There was this person who was an employee of a government official, and that government official had a beautiful wife. So this person starts having an affair with the wife, and when he was discovered, he kills that official and runs away with the wife. And after that, they spend some years, and that wife was of a very greedy and depraved nature she had. All the time she was asking for more and more money and all that. So he became disgusted after a while. He abandoned her and he went off to a place far away. But he always felt remorse for the act he committed. His murder was, he had murdered and it was not discovered. They could not discover the criminal. They had run away from that. So he felt a sense of atonement. And he decided that before I die, I'll do some good work for the society. And where he was staying in that place, there was a dangerous mountain pass where many people used to die crossing that pass. So he decided, I'm going to build a tunnel through this place so that that pass is easily negotiated. And I'm going to do this work before I die. I'm going to do this for the community. So he starts digging the tunnel. For days and years, he starts working selflessly for the community. And then by the time what happens is the son of the government official, he's a samurai warrior. He sets about, hunting for the murderer of his father. And finally, he discovers this person. And he says that I am the son of that official. You murdered my father. Be prepared for death. I have come to kill you. Then he says, okay, I agree that I have killed your father and I am remorseful myself. I'm atoning with whatever I can. I want to build this tunnel for the good of the community. You please allow me to finish the tunnel. The day the tunnel is finished, you can cut off my head. I will offer my head to you willingly because after that I won't have any impetus for life. I don't want to live anymore. But before dying, I want to do something for the community. And then the samurai, that swordsman, he agrees to that. Okay, he's doing a good work. He can see half of it is done. And that work goes on. And he also starts helping this person so that the work is finished quickly and so that he can finish his job also. And when the work is finished, another 2-3 years down the line, and the tunnel is ready for use, people are not going to lose their lives anymore. Then he says, please cut off my head, I'm ready. Then this person says, how can I cut off the head of my teacher, of my guru? That was nothing but the power of example, of what we learn in the Gita, Loka Sangraha, Nishkama Karma, Loka Sangraha. That was demonstrated by that murderer who felt a deep sense of, guilt and atonement, penance. And he did that, and he was actually transformed as a human being. And his example even neutralized a potential avenger to the extent that he became his disciple. He said, how can I murder my teacher? So that is what the example, the power of example. So that is always there. Guru is always an example for us. And the third is, of course, influence. This is what we call satsang. Being in the energy field of the master, his aura his being. Because you see, our physical body is only a part of what we are. What we are is truly our consciousness, and that is reflected in our vibes, in our aura, in our presence itself. So that is the personal influence of the guru. In this case also, this person was not giving any teaching to the samurai swordsman. He was not giving any teaching. It was just the influence of his the personality that he had become, Nishkam Karmi, and someone who is doing something for Lokasangraha. So that is the power of influence. So these, of course, these three are very essential to the process. I think that is what I have to offer for that. Thank you. Satsang, that is why we have that concept of satsang, sitting near the master. The one who is established in Sat, we are communing with that person. That is satsang. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
If you can I just share a little bit with him?
Yeah, please, Akka, please.
Wonderful presentation and very enlightening explanations, accessible to all. It's not just an intellectual. What I really like Mr. Narendra Murty's explanations is he brings down to the time and space and locations of the present conditions and then relates the high spiritual truths that we have it. So if you can later on sometime, we have got 6 or 7 shabda in Sanskrit for what we call teacher, English word teacher. We have adhyapaka, acharya, upadhyaya, and so many, at Pandit and all. I think it's around 9, 10. So
Yes.
just one doubt, somebody asked me, but I didn't really know how to reply. Is it that Guru is only, we have in the Kathopanishad, the Apara and Paravidya, is Guru is only the one who gives us Aparavidya and Paravidya, or is it only anybody who can be called Guru? Without spiritual, means Paravidya, the one who gives the spiritual knowledge, and a permanent Guru, and all those who are giving instructions, subjects, like I may be teaching software, but we are just teachers, like Adhyapak, instructors. So how would we, English doesn't have so many words. So there is always a confusion that one who is an academic intellectual is also called Guru. Sometimes.
Akka,
so if later, maybe it will be too complex now. But
no, here only.
Here a few only sentences, if you can just clarify about
in
this.
very short, this thing I can, whatever I understood by this, I can tell you. To impart Paravidya, the teacher, the Guru, has to be established in that Paravidya. He should be a realized person himself. Only then can he convey and render Paravidya. An ordinary Guru could not have initiated Narendra Nath Dutt, the kind of brash, arrogant young man he was. It needed someone who was established in that high spiritual, station, like Sri Ramakrishna, to impart that knowledge to him through his influence, through his example. So Paravidya for the teaching of Paravidya, the Guru has to be established in that state. But for Aparavidya is at the knowledge, at the level of the intellect. That anybody who has a knowledge base of that subject, whether it's chemistry, physics, or maths, or whatever, anybody who has a knowledge base, he can impart Aparavidya. There is no difficulty in that he has to have some special qualification. So these two things are different. They are on different levels. Aparavidya can be conveyed by anyone who has mastery of that subject. And there are a whole lot of masters for each subject. But Paravidya is something of a different level. The master has to be established in that state of consciousness. So that difference is there. To influence his disciple through his example, through his influence and all that. So That is
So
two
they are
different
really
things.
enlightened and realized
Yes, yes,
enlightenment
yes,
they give us. Apart
yes,
from the knowledge, they give us enlightenment. That's what we have to.
yes. Otherwise, you see, it's only intellectual conveying of ideas. What I'm telling you, that is also conveying it on the level of the intellect. I am not a person who is established in the Paravidya to convey this to you. So what I am conveying to you is again at the level of the intellect. That can happen. That can happen. But to truly transform the life of a disciple, the radical transformation that happened with Swami Vivekananda, that kind of radical transformation is not possible unless the Guru himself is established in Paravidya. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Really, thanks. Thanks. Really,
Thank you, Akka. Thank
very
you.
clarifying to these two terms of guru and the teacher or the others, and wonderful.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir. Participants, anyone else wants to ask or share something, please go ahead.
Well, if nobody is asking one more question, maybe I
Yeah,
can
please,
ask.
please,
You
please.
raised that point, but didn't elaborate upon it. There was not much time. Maybe briefly, if you like to touch on how to distinguish between a genuine guru and a false guru.
Very interesting question, Rameshji. Very interesting question. Rameshji, as far as I understand, in our state of ignorance, it is not possible for us to identify who is a true guru. It's not possible for us because we are in a state of ignorance. So that is why we have to wait. We have to be a disciple and wait. The true guru would come to us. That is my conviction in my own life. Today, I consider myself to be a disciple of Sri Aurobindo. I don't think I'm so knowledgeable and so enlightened and intelligent to choose a guru like Sri Aurobindo. I don't think I am. I realize it is Sri Aurobindo, through his infinite compassion and grace, has chosen me as his disciple. That in his words, when I read his words, some transformation was happening inside me. He has chosen me somehow, being an imperfect, disciple or whatever, imperfect instrument. He has chosen me. In my wisdom and intelligence, I don't have that kind of arrogance to say I have chosen Shiva. Not at all. So we don't have the capacity to choose who is the true guru. And we cannot know who is a guru because whole lot of false gurus are out there. And there is a danger of falling into their traps. So let us not be too eager to locate and find a guru and go to him. Let us seek. Let us be disciples. Let us be like Satyakam, years sitting silently with the animals and waiting patiently and learning about life. And the guru and the knowledge comes to him. Seek and you shall find. Those are the words of Jesus. Let us seek. Knowledge will come. And I'll tell you, all the enlightened masters and gurus, though physically they have passed away, we too believe in Pondicherry. Sri Aurobindo is there in the subtle world. He has only left his physical body. So all the gurus and masters are waiting actually for true disciples. They are the ones who are waiting. They are not getting true disciples. That is the situation I believe that we are in. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Bijlani, sir, can we request you to share your thoughts also? Your comments, please.
What can one really comment after such a deep and scholarly session?
Thank you, sir.
Naturally, all aspects can't be covered, and therefore we would expect Dr. Narendra Murty to speak again and again to us. He told us something about a Zen story today, and he says that in his book there are 30. Maybe that itself can become 30 talks. So there's a lot more that we can get from him. And we're really grateful that we somehow had you on this platform thanks to Beluji. She is the one who introduced you to us.
Yes, yes.
But then,
I don't
although
know
this
for
was
how
the
many
first
things I have
session,
to be grateful to Beluji.
so I'm sure this will not be the last. There'll be many, many more that we'll have from you in quick succession.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beluji, would you like to say something?
No, thank you. First of all, thank you for this wonderful talk. I have some bandwidth issue. Our internet is not working, so I'm not
I see.
on a very limited bandwidth here. Hence, my the video is not working. But I've had the experience of reading some parts from the book that he mentioned, Narendraji mentioned, and listening to him on a related subject. Just recently, we had some workshop for teachers at near Bangalore. So some of these discussions came up there as well. So it's always very enlightening and at the same time elevating to hear Narendraji share thoughts on topics like this. So I'm really happy that he could participate in this Yes Talk. And thank you, Ramesh ji and Arunima, for facilitating this session. So it's wonderful. Ramesh ji, your question about the false guru and the true guru actually just made me think of one other thing. And I totally agree with Narendraji what you said about that, in our ignorance, we cannot determine who is the true guru or the right guru for us or for anyone. I've even heard stories from, some people where in our the gurus that make the news, sort of the false gurus that make the news, that come in headlines for whatever might be their failures or failings or shortcomings, whether it is some kind of scam related to money or some other thing. But at the same time, I have heard stories from people that I know personally who have benefited at some level from their association with even that guru, in the sense that they themselves, their approach as a disciple or as a follower, their shraddha in the what that guru had to offer to them, regardless
Absolutely,
of what the
absolutely.
news headlines said.
It was their shraddha. It was their
Yes,
shraddha.
right. So
Yes.
again, the word false guru can be, as Ramesh ji, you were also saying, there is a lot more we can, in depth, we can go into it. So what may, from a Supreme Court's verdict or from the news media, what can be seen as a false guru for some true Shraddhalu individual, some benefit might have been gained, and both, not just on the outer level, but even on the inner level. So we really cannot understand things on the surface value. That's the thought that came to me as I was listening to the conversation. So thank you for beautiful session, Narendra ji and Arunima ji and Ramesh ji. Thank you.
Ramesh ji, namaste from Bala. I used to often come to Delhi Ashram and listen to your talks also several times. I am an ex-student of Ashram. With Taradi and all the ashram people, I used to come and stay periodically, but didn't come for the last 7-8 years. Special, I listened to your explanations on being a medico and all. I really used to cherish, still recollect your voice and talk. And very delighted to see and namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. I would like to inform before closing that the recording of today's session and all our Yes Talks are published on our YouTube channel, Yes Spirituality. Please note, this is how it is spelled. You can visit the channel for vast content on yoga, education, and spirituality, and related subjects as well, like psychology and wellness. Narendra sir.
I would again like to extend my gratitude to Arunima ji, to Ramesh ji, and to Belu ji for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for sharing your valuable time with all of us. And participants, we thank you too for being with us today. We'll close today's session now with a moment of peaceful silence. Namaste.